And 9 of those cameras we have positioned inside the house, some near the ceiling, some near the floor. If you're escaping a fire, remember this: stay low, because while the temperature at ground level can be more than 100 degrees, if you stand up at eye level, the temperature can reach 800 degrees. And just a foot above my head, it can be up to 2,000 degrees. We also have a couple of cameras in the kitchen, which, by the way, is where most home fires begin. These 2 cameras are in a fireproof box with a clear view of the living room where the fire should begin. One smoke detector is placed on the living room wall, another in a backroom nursery. Drapes, furniture, and appliances, including a fan for ventilation, have all been brought in to replicate a typical home. And perhaps like your own home, this one has 2 bedrooms. You might imagine the parents sleeping in this room. We're going to close the door, see if the fire passes through here. Now, just down the hall, about 12 feet away, is the child's room. This door we'll leave open. We don't expect the flames to reach here, but as we know, smoke and heat can be just as deadly.
One other thing to be aware of, Chief McInerney's going to be inside.
Crews on the Rescue B shift have been brought in to make sure the fire is controlled and neighborhood property protected. And now the trigger for this fire. One of the most common causes, the cigarette, dropped in a bed or a couch or in a waste paper basket. And that is how this fire is going to start. And it begins so slowly, so silently, as if the fire knows to wait until you're asleep. This thing has been smoldering for 15, 20 minutes now.
And this smoke is enough here to deaden your senses.
I can't believe how much smoke is in there already, and the smoke alarm has not gone off. 30 minutes pass while the ashes continue to smolder. 30 minutes of silence from the smoke detectors. But when the change comes, it comes swiftly. In a matter of seconds, smoldering turns to sparks, and sparks become flames. They reach 4 feet before the smoke detector goes off. Even though it's located just 6 feet from the fire, how far away might yours be? Now, watch the clock. We move into time-lapse. In just 2.5 minutes from the alarm sound, a thick curtain of black smoke descends through the hall and into the nursery.
It'll settle on you like a blanket. You wake up in those blinding, choking seconds, frantic, and if you really don't know what to do, most cases you're going to become a statistic.
Remember the bedroom where we closed the door? That thin barrier is still keeping the room largely free of heat and smoke, while just inches away, it's an inferno. There's no time now for pets or possessions. Forget them. A fire like this is doubling in size every 30 seconds.
702. We have a house on fire at 1126 Northwest 8th Avenue.
The first engines arrive on the scene 4 minutes after the 911 call. That's the average response time for firefighters, but they're already having to play catch-up. Steve McInerney and I will join 3 other firemen in the first team to go inside.
Oh boy, it's hot on my back.
It's really hot on my back. I can feel that. Oh my God! It's coming right over the top of us. The heat on my back is amazing. Look, the carpet is on fire. I got you, sweet. I can feel the heat right through my gloves. It's pitch black in here. I can't see anything. The fire is fought in total darkness. We creep along the edge of a side wall toward the back nursery. Where's the crib? Yeah, it's too hot. It's too hot. There is no way a child or adult could make their way through here. Our air tanks will last 20 to 30 minutes, but this fire is controlled in a fraction of that time. And in a sacred ritual among firefighters, the same team that went in together gathers near the door to come out together. I'm exhausted. I was in there for a very short period of time. And we knew where we were going. We knew we were heading back to the back wall, going on the ground, back to the nursery. Right. What if you don't know where you're going?
The seconds are ticking away. Tick, tick, because we could go straight down. We might think that bedroom is straight ahead of us. Right. You don't know.
The fan was destroyed, the phones were destroyed, the couch was destroyed, and yet when we went back into the nursery, the crib was fine. I mean, the crib was all right.
Smoke. I mean, I think but it's black soot. I mean, you can see it on your face. It's permeated your skin, your hair. It's everywhere. And we were just in there for a matter of minutes. I mean, you could see the helmets were so hot to the touch that even when we came out, you couldn't really touch them with a bare hand.
Less than an hour later, we returned. All right, let's take a look inside here. This is where we crawled, right here. Everything is charred, scorched, or melted. Here's where the phone was over here. Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
Melted and fell right off the...
Is it down here? Yeah, let me see here. Here's the phone. It's not hot anymore.
That's what's left of it.
There's the phone.
You see here is what's left of the waste paper basket.
That's right. Here's where it started.
And you can see the little pieces of wicker.
Yeah, that's all that's left there, isn't it? This is curious, this wall here. We have almost a timeline on the fire in a way, don't we?
Exactly.
Tell me about that.
And you can see that the smoke moved back here. It's much blacker here in the back.
Right.
Because the smoke is seeking the path of least resistance. And that was an open door. So what happened is that drew the smoke and heat.
This is the children's room. Look at this. Now look.
Down here.
You come across the top of the crib. That's what was in the baby's lungs, or would have been.
And that's the stuff that's quiet and deadly. That just comes down on top of you like a blanket.
In the end, the lessons of this fire are both simple and powerful. Smoke detectors, buy and use them. When they sound, know that time is already running against you. Stay low and get out fast. Then call 911. Keep your inside doors closed. And before a fire starts, plan your route of escape. Because when the blanket of smoke descends, you can be lost in your own home. And the only light is deadly and coming your way.
We want to thank the City of Fort Lauderdale and Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue for their help with this story. And before you go to bed tonight, check your smoke detector. Firefighters say up to 1/3 of all smoke detectors they find during house fires were not working, usually because they were disconnected or had dead batteries.
Coming up, teenage mothers on welfare open up in a frank conversation with Diane Sawyer.
If you're getting money from the taxpayer, shouldn't you have to do something in return?
But first, it's the hottest thing in new cars, leasing. But is it always the deal they say it is? PrimeTime continues.
Here's why the Sawchers are another Tylenol extended relief family.
When my back hurts, nothing works right. Finish work, ride home, that's all I could do. Now when I hear Daddy's home, I smile. I get relief that lasts.
Now Skip uses Tylenol extended relief with this unique bi-layer caplet. One layer of strong relief to attack the pain quickly, and one layer to make sure that strong relief lasts.
This is the way every day should end.
Tylenol extended relief. Strong relief right away, strong relief the whole day.
A sparkling ship on crystal waters is coming.
For me, that island was something I'll never forget.
A once-in-a-lifetime is coming. Experience that goes back to the Vikings is coming.
How to make it faster.
Brand new feeling is coming. An island you can call your own is coming.
I loved it. I didn't want to come home. Gosh, they were gorgeous, those islands.
You've got some Royal Caribbean coming.
You touch it. It's alive. It's mildew. And cleaning it isn't enough. You have to kill it with Tilex. Tilex's disinfecting formula kills mildew and destroys its stain. Kill mildew with Tilex, now at a new low price.
I know it's wrong, but I can't resist it.
Kellogg's Frosted Flakes just for kids?
Sure, I look in control, but inside lurks a man that would strap that box on like a feed bag.
Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great!
It's every cop's job to catch criminals. But this isn't just any job.
He faked his own death and was reborn.
He changes faces, robs banks, and turns killer.
Gotcha.
That's a job for the Marshal, and that's a reason to stay home Saturday nights. The Marshal on ABC.
It was rage, pure rage.
Terrorists are coming to America, and Harrison Ford is the only man who can stop them.
I will make it my mission in life.
Sunday, the network television premiere of Patriot Games, here on ABC. Parental discretion advised.
Prime Time continues. Now from Washington, Sam Donaldson.
It's as American as apple pie, the desire to own your own car. And until very recently, leasing a new car was something considered only by the very wealthy or by business owners who could write off the monthly expense. But during the past few years, there's been an explosion in car leasing. Today, it's a very popular new car option. 1 out of every 4 new cars is leased. Leasing can be the very best way to drive a new car that otherwise might be unaffordable. But because leasing is such a complicated transaction involving interest rates, trade-in values, and down payments, some salesmen use the complications to make the deal look better than it really is. Rene Poussaint visited some showrooms with a hidden camera to take a closer look.
Now that he's gone, I'm sure that he wouldn't want you to deny yourself in his absence. Joey O'Brien, Turgeon Auto.
What is this?
My business card.
You're not trying to sell me a car, are you? At my husband's funeral? Before he's even in the ground?
It's the oldest stereotype. A car salesman doing anything to make you buy. But have you been in a car dealership lately?
The worst place you can ever invest your money is into an automobile.
It's coming to the point where people are not even buying cars anymore.
That's right. Many car salesmen these days don't want you to buy. They want you to lease.
See, we learned a long time ago, you don't buy things that depreciate. You lease them.
You can lease a fully equipped Accord LX for $0 down and $269 a month. So you can get something you really want and not spend a lot of money.
The appeal is easy to understand. No money down, low monthly payments, a chance to drive a car you might not be able to afford. But as our primetime investigation uncovered, leasing isn't always a good deal. It can be another way for clever salesmen to claim new victims. It took in this cop. They were very good con artists. It took in this school teacher.
They quoted me figures that I don't know where they came from.
And as you'll see, it almost took in primetime when I went undercover to lease a car.
Accountants are being ripped off on the leases. Lawyers are being ripped off. The leasing program is designed to confuse and befuddle even the most educated of consumers.
Buying a car is tough enough, but at least you know the price you're paying and the interest you're being charged. They're written right on the contract. With leasing, that's not the case. The only number you'll ever know for sure is that low monthly payment. What about the interest rate, the price of the car, the value of your trade-in? Those numbers, which the lease payment is based on, are not written in the contract. They can get lost in a complicated transaction most accountants can't even unravel. And that's the way some unscrupulous salesmen like it.
They're trying to convince you that it's an alternative way to pay for it. And in fact, it's really an alternative way to make more money.
Timothy Wolfing and David Stivers are salesmen with a lot of experience who agreed to give us a step-by-step guide to the latest tricks. We set out with undercover shoppers and hidden cameras.
The advantages you have on a lease versus a retail.
And with a word of warning from Florida's Attorney General, Bob Butterworth.
They'll tell you anything, not to have to tell you what the real numbers are.
I want to get down to payments, terms.
Our undercover shopper, Margaret, a computer analyst, went to our first stop, Ed Voiles Honda in Atlanta.
It's the cheapest way to ever drive an automobile, period.
It certainly can be, but Margaret was about to encounter what our experts recognized as one of the most common ploys, the now you see it, now you don't interest rate.
Do these come in a six-cylinder?
Margaret came in wanting to buy a Honda Accord, but the salesman said the loan rate would be expensive.
10.5.
10.5? I can't get better than 10.5?
Not on a buy, he said, but on a lease?
They're going to loan you money right now. Honda has money at 3%.
Sounds too good to be true. And our experts say it is. Margaret's contract would have cost far more than 3%, and she never knew it.
In fact, it figures out to be 8.4%.
So that's more than twice as much.
That's correct.
Terrence O'Laughlin is an investigator for the Florida Attorney General's office. He checked Margaret's deal. So how much did this cost us?
Slightly over $2,000 over a 3-year period of time.
How could it happen? Simple. The law didn't require the salesman to disclose the interest rate on Margaret's leasing contract. Without an expert at her elbow, Margaret had no way to know what rate he actually charged to get her monthly payment.
Are you interested in a Toyota Easy Drive lease?
Margaret would run into exactly the same ploy at another dealer, Atlanta Toyota.
Well, the main thing you're missing is in the overall picture is that the rate here is 3% as opposed to 7.75 in a buy.
But the real interest rate here, never disclosed to Margaret, was more than double what she was quoted, an overcharge of $2,600. But our experts said we'd only seen the tip of the iceberg.
The big lie in leasing is that the price of the car is being secretly increased thousands of dollars, and the customer has no idea that this is happening.
We call it the secret price boost. Florida schoolteacher Susan Squire says it happened to her.
I was able to talk them down to 16.4. Even the sales manager came in and shook my hand.
She'd just finished negotiating to buy a new car when the pitch suddenly turned to leasing.
They were trying to convince me that that was the way to go, that leasing would be the cheapest way. And it was, according to the figures that he was showing me on paper.
Squire says the salesman showed her how a monthly lease payment would be far less than the monthly loan payment to buy the car.
You don't think that they're going to be sitting there lying to you about the purchase price of the car.
But apparently they did. After friends said her payment seemed high, Susan began to investigate. She discovered the lease was based on a sale price over $2,000 higher than the price she just negotiated. So how could that happen?
You could promise the customers a price that you were not giving them because the price does not show up on the lease contract.
Okay, so back with our shopper Margaret at Atlanta Toyota, and forewarned, she made sure to ask whether that $23,999 sale price still applied in the lease. See if you can understand his answer.
Now, the capitalized cost, the cost that Toyota is going to pay us for this car is going to be more than $23,999. But that's what they're going to pay us for it, not what you're going to pay us for the car.
The finance man told Margaret not to worry about any increase.
So it doesn't affect your payment, but it does affect the way the numbers unfold.
Absolutely false.
Financial consultant Jim Myron, our other expert, checked Margaret's deal.
Who pays for it?
The consumer.
How? Once again, the sales price was never written down. In this case, the price boost was about $3,000, bringing PrimeTime's potential loss so far to almost $8,000 at just 2 dealerships.
I didn't know what I was doing, and I made the mistake of letting them, believing them.
James Sikowitz, a Florida police officer, told us about his encounter with another car leasing trick. It's called the disappearing trade-in. He went to buy a Dodge Caravan and was offered $7,000 for his trade-in. When he was switched to a lease, he says he was assured the trade-in still applied. But a few days later, he got suspicious.
I started looking into it, and I realized that I didn't get $7,000 credit for my car. I only got $1,300 credit for my car.
$1,300 instead of the $7,000?
Yes.
That's a big difference.
Very big difference.
It's what Timothy Wolfing calls a big score.
When you get a big high gross profit, it's a home run. It's a touchdown. You know,
no matter how you got it.
Exactly.
And just like Sikowitz, we got suspicious when our second undercover shopper was offered a generous trade-in deal. This salesman at Bob Kazuli Toyota in New Jersey offered $6,000 for this 3-year-old compact car. But there was a hitch. It wouldn't be in writing.
The only thing you're better off is not showing your trade on here. If you show that I'm giving you $6,000 for your vehicle, you're going to have to pay tax on the $6,000. So this is going to be empty.
Our veteran salesman said not only was it funny, it was typical and flat out wrong.
I've never heard of a state that actually charges a customer because you list a trade-in.
Then when you come back to scream, you got nothing to scream about because you have no idea what they gave you for your trade. It's done deliberately.
Our shopper was already losing, but it was about to get worse. She agreed to put $1,000 down to make her lease payments even lower. The final charge? $364 a month.
How did we do?
In this case, it looks as though it should have been $153 per month.
$153? What did they do?
It doesn't appear as though they credited the consumer with the cash and trade-in fully into the transaction.
Another $7,500 bite for PrimeTime. A bite so big, the salesman could even appear to be generous. When our shopper balked at the deal, he gave her $60 off the monthly payment.
Get slow. Okay, so we're a very high volume store. We do a lot of crazy things.
And Stiver says that at some places that has to do with dollars and cents.
But what happens is greed takes over. Salespeople that have raised their commission from $100 up to $1,000 on the same car by telling the leasing lies suddenly are making more money.
I saw firsthand how someone might be taken and not know it when I accompanied a shopper into Maxon Honda in New Jersey. We got what I thought was a good price for a new 4-wheel drive Passport and $10,000 for our trade-in. So what did our monthly lease payment come to?
It's $389 a month per year. That's what we were paying. $389 a month.
You should have paid $193 a month, not $389 a month.
And what did they do?
Was the $10,000 trade-in credited?
Part of it was. Approximately $5,800 of it was.
And the rest of it was?
Dealer profit.
So instead of a good deal, we ended up potentially overpaying $7,000. All told, we made 10 trips to car dealerships. 5 times we were offered leasing options, and in every one of those cases, we were overcharged. The potential loss for us and the potential windfall for the dealers was over $26,000. So is this kind of thing widespread?
We believe it is a national problem.
Attorney General Bob Butterworth has spent 2 years investigating car leasing practices in his home state of Florida.
We've gone through 26,000 cold files. Of those, we have found about 10% of those are flagrantly bad.
So why isn't more being done about the problem? He says many people don't know they've been victimized.
What we're asking for in law enforcement is that we want full disclosure to that consumer so that consumer can make an intelligent decision as to whether or not they want to lease a vehicle or buy a vehicle.
And as we found out, asking the right questions doesn't always get the right answers.
How come the sale price or the interest rate isn't on here?
There is no interest rate.
See, leasing doesn't have a selling price of a vehicle.
And how do the dealers we visited explain the discrepancies? Atlanta Toyota said the interest overcharge was a mistake, and it will be taking action to make sure it won't happen again. Ed Voiles Honda also agreed it should not have happened. As for our disappearing trade-in deals, Maxon refused to comment. And when I paid Kasuli Toyota a visit...
No cameras in here?
No, but you walked in to buy a car?
Well, we're
We'd be
not...
happy to talk to you, but no cameras here.
Well, we wanted to ask you about your leasing practices
Our
and
leasing
$7,000 that's missing.
No, your mistake was you didn't understand we were going to give the money back on the trade, but that's okay.
Off camera, they explained that they would have given our shopper a check for the trade-in. That's why it wasn't figured into the payments. But our shopper was never told that. For PrimeTime, it was a lesson in leasing. For many others, the loss is real.
How critical in this day and age is that $5,000 to you?
Very critical.
I mean, you know,
$5,000 to anybody, I think, is a lot of money. To me, it is.
So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, here's our PrimeTime tip sheet. First, be sure to negotiate the price of the cars if you're going to buy it before telling the dealer you want a lease. Then make sure the price doesn't change in the lease calculations. You can do that by getting it in writing, along with the interest rate you're paying, the value of your trade-in, and how much you would pay for the car if you decided to buy it at the end of the lease. If they won't put it in writing, find another dealer who will. And know the termination penalties at the end of the lease. Wear and tear, excessive mileage, or returning your car early can add a lot to the cost of the leasing. And remember Florida Attorney General Bob Butterworth? He's joined with 21 other state attorneys general to recommend a consumer checklist that can help you when you start your shopping. For a copy, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Reality Check, Post Office Box 19405, Washington, D.C. 20036.
Coming up, dramatic new evidence in the state versus O.J. Simpson. And a weeknight update from comedian Dennis Miller.
I don't know about you, but as a comedian, I know I'll never forget where I was at the precise moment Dan Quayle announced he was not running for the presidency in 1996. Ouch.
When PrimeTime continues.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is a great disturbance in the Force. Get his battery.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Still going. Long-lasting Energizer batteries keep going and going.
Eggo Nutrigrain waffles have been deliciously improved, and you're about to try them on an imaginary taste test. Relax, forget they're nutritious, because now Eggo Nutrigrain has a thick, rich batter made with whole wheat. Close your eyes. Wait, don't close your eyes, but imagine the toasty aroma. Take one crisp, imaginary bite. See, with this new taste, you'll never want to let go. Now, wipe your mouth. You got imaginary syrup all over it. Eggo Nutrigrain, a delectable new taste. Imagine that.
The coffee perking in this pot is America's best-loved coffee.
That's the spirit!
As long as liberty is alive and well.
Nearly 4,000 of us have marched from the city.
As long as lighthouses shine. Just as long as the tide turns. Maxwell House will always be good to the last drop.
It's Crime Wave Thursday.
They'll charge you tomorrow. Attempted murder.
When Matlock's Clyde is accused of attacking a slumlord, Ben pushes the law to its limit.
You say I'm out of order?
All new Matlock. Then Tony and the court are held hostage by a vigilante.
This time, you've lost. Hold it!
All new Commish after Matlock Thursday here on ABC.
Friday, 2020 turns the tables on used car salesmen.
Trust me, I know that this car's a good car.
We sell them a lemon. Watch what happens when we go undercover to buy it back.
It's still broken. They haven't repaired anything.
The dirty little secrets of some used car dealers. A major 2020 investigation Friday.
Prime Time continues. Once again from Washington, Sam Donaldson.
Lawyers for O.J. Simpson say one of their key witnesses is missing. Rosa Lopez, a maid who lived next door to Simpson, was expected to testify about hearing voices outside the Simpson estate on the night of the murders. But defense attorney Johnny Cochran told Judge Ito today that Lopez has fled home to El Salvador to avoid media harassment. Meanwhile, the prosecution has uncovered a potentially damaging piece of video evidence. Aaron Brown has the latest from Los Angeles.
From the opening statement, a cornerstone of the Simpson defense has been that his arthritis was so bad, he was physically unable to commit the murders.
On the date of June 12th, Mr. Simpson was involved in the acute phase of his rheumatoid arthritis.
Simpson was allowed to show his arthritic knees to the jury.
Can't walk 18 holes. Expect there'll be testimony that he's perhaps one of the only few people in the world who's able to use a golf court at Pebble Beach.
And arthritis came up again when the defense introduced a tape from the day of the murder. A tape they claim shows an aching, arthritic O.J. Simpson.
And I would like the witness to see if she can refresh her memory whether O.J. is screaming with a little pain when he lifts up his son.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you help me welcome the Juice, O.J. Simpson.
Now it turns out that O.J. Simpson's career as a pitchman may come back to haunt him. ABC News has learned that prosecutors have, in the last 24 hours, subpoenaed a tape O.J. Simpson made at a sales conference for a product coincidentally called Juice Plus, a tape where he claims his arthritis problem wasn't a problem at all.
I had the beginnings of rheumatoid arthritis, and I was having really a tough time. I actually had mornings that I could not open my door. I could not turn my wrist because my wrists, my fingers, my elbows would all get swollen up. I started taking regularly Juice Plus and started feeling, I don't know if it was mind over matter, if it was a mental thing, but almost immediately I started feeling better. All of a sudden I was getting another 10 yards on my drive and then before I knew it, I just started skipping the Naproxen and skipping the Indocin and skipping the pain pills, the Advil. I mean, I was one of these guys with 6, 7 Advils a day, you know, and until the day where I don't have to take anything. And
he made that claim first on January 10th at a Juice Plus sales convention in Memphis. He made it again on March the 11th, 1994 at another Juice Plus event in Dallas. That event was just 3 months before the murders. The makers of Juice Plus make no claims about curing arthritis or anything else. It was Mr. Simpson who touted the product and its great results in his unscripted speeches. Those remarks may have seemed insignificant at the time, but not tonight. Not with Simpson's attorneys arguing what might be called the arthritis defense.
what the hell was going on?
The O.J. Simpson on tape is the O.J. Simpson pitchman, telling jokes and stories, even talking about his ex-wife, with whom he was in the midst of a reconciliation.
If there's a message that I can give you today, is no matter how successful you've been in any phase, and it's not just business, it's in your personal life, it's in your marriage, it's in getting your marriage back together, which I am doing at this point. Evaluate what is important to you.
There was applause then and lots of laughter from the audience, lots of smiles from O.J. Simpson. That was his public life then, full of smiles and adoration. That was 10 months. and a long time ago.
Defense Attorney Johnny Cochran told us tonight, I don't know too much about Juice Plus, but I can tell you that he definitely has rheumatoid arthritis, and his doctor will testify to that. Testimony in the double murder case resumes tomorrow with LA Police Detective Ronald Phillips on the witness stand.
Still to come, they are raising the next generation with the taxpayers' money.
I feel like I wanted something that I can take care of, to do something right.
When Primetime continues after this from our ABC stations.
I'm Jim Gardner. Near freezing temperatures and icy roads are being blamed for dozens of accidents, some serious. Dave Roberts and AccuWeather have the latest on how long these conditions will last. O.J. Simpson's lawyers fear a key witness for the defense may be missing. Learn how some local plastic surgeons are helping abused women heal the scars caused by their battered lives. And find out why his trip to a local art exhibit was a very moving experience for Don Pollock. An explosion levels a local home, and an excerpt from Al Cowling's 900 line at 11.
We're talking about finding a doctor. We're talking about my family's health. So I was going to friends for advice. I was looking in the phone book. I said, wait, let me ask people who know doctors. Let me ask Jefferson. You know what's great about Jeff now? They actually listen to you. They ask all the right questions. And when you ask them questions, boom, you get an answer. Where the doctors went to school, how long they've been in practice, what insurance they take, whatever. The point is, they have hundreds of doctors throughout the area, and they help you find the one that's best for you, for free. They even made my appointment. You know, I think we're very lucky. Jefferson is one of the best medical centers in the country, and it's right here. One call to Jeff Now. You got yourself a Jeff doctor.
Call 1-800-JEFF-NOW, the easiest way to get a doctor from Jefferson.
While a brother may be hard to propel, the new Hoover Power Drive is self-propelled, making cleaning so easy, even a brother could do it.
Hoover, nobody does it like you.
Action News sports team reports from Philly spring training starting Thursday.
Primetime continues. Once again from Los Angeles, Diane Sawyer.
Given the debate about welfare raging in the country this week, have you ever wanted to ask a group of unmarried teenage girls who have babies supported by welfare if they think it's right that taxpayers support their child? And what will they do if welfare is phased down, if not out? If you have wanted to ask, stick around for a few minutes as we bring the controversy of the week right to the young girls at the center of the storm.
To many people, these girls are public enemy number one. Like most American teenagers, they started having sex by the age of 15 or 16. In the inner city, some start as young as 11 or 12.
My name is Esperanza. I have 2 children. My son's 3 years old, and I have a daughter who's 21 months. I'm 17. My name's Lisa Wright, and I'm 16, and I have a daughter, Brooke Wright, and she's 5 months.
My name is Katima Jackson, and I'm 14. I got 2 sons. One is a year and 10 months, and the other one is 9 months.
19% of black teenagers get pregnant each year. 13% of Hispanics. 8% of whites. Did you say to yourself, if I don't use protection, I'm going to get a baby?
No, not really. At the time, I wasn't thinking about that.
It was kind of uncomfortable using protection, for me anyway. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to be the one to have to deal with it, so.
I wanted something, mine, something that I can take care of, to do something right.
And something new. 30 years ago, nearly 70% of teenagers like these would get married by the time they gave birth. Today, less than 20% do. There's no stigma, and we learned marriage is saved for romance.
I want to make sure that he's going to be committed to me, and, I don't just want to rush into anything.
Don't you think a baby should have 2 parents?
Yes, I feel he should have 2 parents, but I just want to wait until I'm ready, and I'm sure about it. I don't want to make the wrong choice.
In this year alone, unmarried teenage girls will have 350,000 babies, and half of them will be raised in part by increasingly angry taxpayers. So we ask, do any of them think that this is wrong?
You know, a taxpayer sitting at home will say, why should I pay for your mistake?
It's not right for them to pay for us, but I feel like if we don't have like daycare or things like that they pay for, then they complain about dropouts.
Yeah, but answer their question. Why should they pay for your mistake?
How are we going to succeed as a nation if we can't help the people that need help? I mean,
Everybody
these people are
goes
sitting
down.
back saying, oh, I don't have to pay for that. But what's going to happen to those babies? I mean, they're going to be crying hungry. They don't have to listen to them crying.
It's such a small percentage now, you know, of the amount of money of what taxpayers send in. Most of the money is going for defense.
These girls told us society is simply reaping what society has sown, including the adults who are mad as hell and
saying, I don't want to have to pay to raise your children.
Teenagers didn't used to have the babies. Back in the old days, kids didn't go around having. This didn't happen.
So you're saying
it's the adults now who raise the children that are today who are having babies. If they would have taken responsibility in the first place and helped teach us the better things and helped teach us what they were taught, I think everything would be a lot better.
So we ask these young mothers to go over the big new Republican and Democratic plans for welfare reform. The government attempt to curb pregnancies through the pocketbook. The Republicans go the furthest. They would bar any cash payments for unwed mothers under 18. The babies may still get food and medical care, but teens would be pressured to find work or consider orphanages. And there would be no extra payments for any mothers who have another baby on welfare.
Okay, if you think that it's right or fair that the taxpayers help support the first baby, what about the second one?
It ain't fair, but if you need the help, because a lot of people need help, though they should help the ones that really need the help.
I know, but they'll say to you, you shouldn't have them.
Because some of the mothers have made mistakes, that's not fair. I mean, if there's no more welfare, where are the little kids going to go to daycare? Where are they going to go to school?
The girls pointed out correctly that an orphanage costs taxpayers about $36,000 per child. Welfare, only $3,100 plus medical.
What would happen if there were no government assistance? Do you think there'd be more abortions?
There would be more abortions, and I think a lot more teens would be trying to get birth control a lot quicker than they're thinking about it now.
As for themselves, the girls said they felt no fear about government action to end welfare, saying their families would make sure that somehow their babies survived. So what then about the second part of the welfare reform bills, requiring if you do get money, at least you must work? Here's President Clinton.
We have to provide child care and teach them skills if that's what they need for up to 2 years. But after that, there ought to be a simple, hard rule. Anyone who can work must go to work.
Okay, so he said 2 years on welfare. After that,
if you can work.
If you can work, you go to work.
Right. Yeah. Now, sometimes it's not jobs for people. That's another thing to me. It's not jobs out there.
They need to base the time limit on the person personally.
Yet in general, most of these girls said the president's proposal seemed fair and right.
It doesn't matter if it's a job you don't like, you still think you should.
I disagree with that.
Unless you go to school.
If it's a job you don't like, then why take it?
If you're getting money from the taxpayer, shouldn't you have to do something in return?
You educate yourself more so you can get a better job.
So you don't think you should have to take a job if you don't like it?
No. I think you should get a job, but not if you don't like what you're doing.
But would you, if someone offered you a job and took your public assistance away, would you take that job if you didn't like it?
If it was paying enough for me to take care of it.
What if it was only paying minimum wage? Would you take that job?
Yeah, I would take it then, but yeah, I'll take it.
Some people have said, why don't we try something different? Why don't we offer money to teenage girls, let's say in freshman year in high school? We'll offer you money if you don't get pregnant. Is that the answer?
No. They all said in modern America, teenagers simply will get pregnant.
Somebody had offered you $1,000.
No. That's still not going to change your mind. Why don't they pressure the fathers more as much as the mothers? I feel like the mothers just stand out. I mean, they're responsible for everything.
How many of you, let me see a show of hands, are going to make sure you don't get pregnant again? It was unanimous. They said they hoped for the discipline they didn't have before.
I would have not had sex. I would have followed abstinence and waited, because that's how I feel now. I've started over.
The girls in this room still harbor the dreams that would let them leave welfare behind.
I want to be an FBI agent, but I don't think I could ever be that. It takes a long time.
A beautician, like my father. I want to be a lawyer.
A lawyer, despite the odds. Only 5% of teen mothers ever get college degrees. 28% will live in poverty.
A beautician. I want to work with business and computers.
A lawyer.
A physical therapist.
I want to be a nurse, and I'm still going to be a nurse.
We sure hope those girls make it. Republicans are going full speed ahead with their plan to eliminate monthly welfare checks to unwed mothers under 18. A full House vote on the plan is expected before Easter.
Still to come, what's so funny about the news? Comedian Dennis Miller has the answer when Primetime continues.
You know what you need every morning to keep your teeth clean and tartar-free? A dental cleaning. So Colgate's done the next best thing. Our Tartar Control toothpaste contains special micro-cleansing crystals, which clean between teeth and along the gum line. Colgate helps prevent tartar buildup and leaves teeth the cleanest they can feel, without a dental cleaning every day. So between dental visits, make an appointment with Colgate Tartar Control.
Nice painting. What is it?
Not a very interesting piece. Reminiscent of early Dadaism.
What's Dadaism?
If he's so smart, why is he using those other batteries?
With a brain that big, you'd think he'd know Duracell batteries outlast all other brands.
Now,
You're right, Mom. The museum can be fun.
The copper top. Tops them all.
Mon disque dur est plein.
Oh.
Il faut que j'archive 500 MB ou je suis fichu.
Oh, ça c'est embêtant. J'ai entendu dire qu'il travaillait sur un nouveau procédé laser pour stocker de l'information.
Le laser? Qui fait ça?
Ah, IBM. Oui, IBM. Ils disent même qu'on pourra stocker 10 fois plus de données.
C'est incroyable.
That rat-a-tat-tat celebrating a new day. The way that peach from the farmer's market is mysteriously drawn to it. That crunch waking up your mouth, then your body, then your mind. The natural, nutty, uncompromised taste. That rare feeling of doing something good for yourself and enjoying every last bit. That experience is pure grape nuts.
Monday.
This is a Mayday.
Imagine the impossible. You're at 41,000 feet. You're out of fuel, and both engines are dead.
That plane's coming down!
Based on the true story of Flight 174.
No! No!
William Devane and NYPD Blues' Nicholas Turturro.
Like hell, we're going down.
Falling from the Sky, Monday on ABC.
Thursday on day one, we're gonna steal a car, and you can ride shotgun. Come along to a chop shop and watch live as guys strip a car bare in minutes. How can you protect your car? Strap yourself in for this day one, Thursday.
Now this, Marcia, is a muffin.
Oh, Elliot, it's so much more than that. They're wonderful, delicious.
And low in fat.
Scrumptious.
I've never seen a moister muffin.
Oh, Elliot, it's beyond moistness. It's like a fruit stand in here. There must be a zillion blueberries.
2/3 less fat than my original muffin.
Never have I experienced a muffin like this.
This is no ordinary muffin, Marcia.
Perfection. Muffin nirvana.
Marcia, I hear they're low in fat.
Elliot.
We remember him behind the anchor desk at Saturday Night Live, giving a singular spin on the news on Weekend Update. Today, Dennis Miller brings that humorous look at the headlines to his own weekly show on HBO. And tonight, we ask him to share his irreverent review of the week's news with us.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Miller, and I've had an absolutely brutal week. I don't know about you, but as a comedian, I know I'll never forget where I was at the precise moment Dan Quayle announced he was not running for the presidency in 1996. Ouch, Dan. Well, let's see. There were a few contenders for the title of Outrage of the Week. After 6 months of no baseball, Congress is now getting involved in trying to end the strike. There's a great idea. Let's put Bosnia, Chechnya, and our own domestic problems with widespread crime and an economy about as stable as Eric Roberts on the back burner for a couple of weeks so we can get back to whiling away the summer watching a gaggle of whiny jock millionaires spit tobacco juice and adjust themselves. Which brings us to the hands-down winner for this week's title of Outrage of the Week, Bill Clinton's current Surgeon General fiasco. Not too surprising given his track record of presidential appointments. Let's face it, most of this guy's choices are so ill-conceived he makes Shelley Long look like Nostradamus. You know, I was half expecting him to name Aldrich Ames to head the CIA. Let's review the facts. 2 months ago, Jocelyn Elders was forced to resign as Surgeon General because she advocated, well, you know what she advocated. The Republicans called for her head, which is ironic because they're always preaching that the citizenry should be more self-reliant, and Elders was encouraging kids to do just that. Now Clinton's new nominee, Dr. Henry Foster, an obstetrician and gynecologist, is being called on to withdraw his name from nomination because he has performed abortions in the past and may have lied about how many. Cynics will say Foster himself has hatched these allegations as a smokescreen to hide an illegal nanny in his past. President Clinton says he stands behind Foster for the time being, and I think Julius Caesar will tell you that's approximately where Brutus was located. So between Clinton's questionable pre-interviewing skills and the Republicans' attacks on Foster, it looks like this OB-GYN will soon be OB-gone. So who now? A good woman has been drummed out for talking turkey about basic human instincts, and a good man is on the run for performing what is, whether you think it's right or wrong, a currently legal procedure protected by the Supreme Court. Oh well, whoever Clinton picks next, I hope he or she does pass our self-righteous little inspection. And I also hope that their first official act as the nation's chief medical officer will be to surgically remove the huge bug that seems to have currently lodged itself in our collective posterior. I'm Dennis Miller. That's the Outrage of the Week. Good night.
We'll be right back.
I'm Jim Gardner. An explosion levels a home in Bridesburg tonight. Icy roads tonight caused dozens of accidents. Plastic surgeons work to help victims of spousal abuse. AccuWeather and more next.
Can't remember ever having things exactly my way. My childhood? My parents planned that. Then came the kids, the house, and schools. Retirement? I'll call it freedom. Free to be that kid that still wants to come out and play. But I have to make sure the money will last.
Take control of your future. A plan from Merrill Lynch can show you how. And a Merrill Lynch financial consultant has more ways to make the plan work for you than anyone else. The difference is planning. The difference is Merrill Lynch.
I'll probably never forget that night. It was the middle of the night. My stomach was on fire. I was scared. And when I got to the doctor, I thought he'd give me a prescription. You know what my doctor said? My doctor said Mylanta.
For occasional heartburn and acid indigestion, doctors recommend Mylanta most, even over prescription drugs.
I got my prescription. My doctor said Mylanta.
Small news from SOS. Introducing SOS Juniors. Same cleaning power, new smaller pad. Because every new mess deserves a fresh SOS. SOS Juniors.
You get older. You get smarter. You get Bayer. It relieves the inflammation of arthritis when taken regularly. Just ask your doctor. You get older, you get smarter, you get Bayer.
And that's prime time for tonight. I hope you'll join Forrest Sawyer and me tomorrow night for day one. How fast can a thief strip your car? Watch it happen live tomorrow night on day one. I'm Diane Sawyer in Los Angeles. Good night to all of you. See you soon, Sam.
Good night, Diane. Now here's Ted Koppel with a preview of tonight's Nightline. Ted?
Tonight on Nightline, today police aren't permitted to enter your home and search it without a warrant, and any evidence they find as a result of such a search would be thrown out of court. Within weeks, that may no longer be true. Tonight.
That's Nightline tonight after your local news.